I'm Bob. I'm your MC for tonight. For those of you who haven't been here before, this is Sector 67, a community workspace. It's sort of like a gym membership, but for geeks, where you pay a monthly fee and have access to a bajillion awesome tools and get to hang out with a bajillion awesome people. So the format for tonight is people are going to get up and talk about whatever they've been working on for 7 minutes, and it will be timed. At the end of 7 minutes, you'll hear like a loud buzzer and have some police lights go off, so you don't want to go over 7 minutes. Once people are done presenting, then we'll go around the room and everyone will introduce themselves and talk about what they're interested in for like 10 seconds. And then after that, we all just mingle and stay here and chat for a while. So, to get things kicked off, it looks like you guys are already getting ready. So you want to get started?
Sure.
All right. Go.
So lately I've been working on my floppy drives. I have a lot of floppy drives here, 8 of them in total. They're going to play music by your motor will step and move chords, and that will create a tone. It steps in just the right way to create a tone like it moves. So it can resonate. The head resonates. You're not actually going to be hearing the motor. The head is going to be resonating on the drive, the disc internally. This is actually this is going to resonate, and then the disc inside is going to act as sort of a sounding box internally. And then this is a sounding box I built with my dad at home in Tablesoft. As you can see, if you look down at the post inside for transferring it back to the sound post internally. And first, I kind of want to talk about how a stepper motor works, as that's what drives these things. So I'll be testing some motors out, and I'll also have a motor that spins the drive internally. So if you want to start testing these around, here's actually one from the floppy drive. Just hold that up so you can see. Anyway, could do some more on that inside. So here's one more. Anyway, the way it works is there are teeth internally, and actually there's the one that's being tested around is larger as a tall shaft, and it kind of looks a lot like that picture there, except there's more wires. So the way it works is the coils have little teeth on them, and the gear internally has teeth, because the teeth align on the teeth on the gear align with the teeth on the magnet. So it will always align those, and then you go around and around that step. So each time it steps normally, it'll step 3.6 degrees. And then, obviously, it'll step 100 times to a full rotation. And 3.6 degrees is actually, anyway, so there's a shaft. So and on these, I actually drive faster if anybody wants to look at it. And you can see that the spindle on the motor has a little kind of spiral on it, and there's a little pin on the drive internally that moves it back and forth. So, and then at the end there's an end stop, optical end stop that will sense if the flash drive is back in its home position. And I don't really need to go into detail with the rehead because I'm not using those for this. So I can start a duration test, and then I can probably go on to some music. Yeah, I know. Oh, this one's good?
goes. All right.
Okay. Now it's working. Lucky my brother made it so I can probably stop that. I have some music from a game called Cave Story. I'm not sure if some maybe one person here right now. None?
You got a couple minutes left.
What?
You only have a couple minutes left.
I don't know. Okay. There's a really fast one that's kind of cool. It's called Eyes of Flame. I really wish I had that.
Yeah, sorry, I can't find the microphone.
When I was around the board, you're more than welcome to grab a chat on the microphone at work.
But otherwise, could we do this afterwards? Too?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
have demos?
I get to play all these afterwards too.
Okay,
so.
great.
I know how to work it, so.
Hero March. I also have the Hero March. This might work for you. You might be able to hear it better. We stay for so you can kind of see it, right? Yeah, afterwards I'll show you all these. It's pretty cool and you see it running. And then I have one that probably will work a lot better than any of the other two. I it's kind of neat. It's called Turocracy.
You have to go through a lot of different drives to find one. that
Yeah, I
works.
actually-
It's a big-
Yeah, I think stuff is if you want to do questions now. I had to actually go. I had these two, and the one that I passed around, that one kind of buzzes a lot. So I actually went to Swap and I bought more. They were not cheap there. They were $5 per drive. I'm like here, but I just went to the found. And then Chris was asking for $1. So yeah. It was a lot better. And then I had to actually solder some audio cables on them to cover some because I didn't have enough connectors. So it was kind of a hack. And then I cut a bunch of parts off my power supply. So I don't think that'll ever be going into a computer like again. The wire was kind of messy. It was really hard to wire this whole thing. You have to solder every single one of these on Cat 5. It's not that clean looking, but it's better. At least I can unplug them because online I saw a bunch of people solder them. So there's actually one here that I tried to use and I had solder on it. And it was actually did that. So I think I should probably do that.
How did you get it?
I saw this a while ago, and I never really thought about it. I mean, I watched it, and it was really cool, but I never really was like, oh my gosh. I did want to do it, but I never did it. And then I came around, and that was before I knew about Sector 67. I came here, and then I realized
Yeah, just gotta repeat the second week, so.
I'm gonna talk about wedding invitations, so I'll just pass these out. Yes.
Yeah, we're all invited now?
Everyone's invited.
Only if I can figure out how to scroll on this thing.
Repeatedly hit the down key.
Then you sort of pull them apart.
Oh, that works much more reliably.
Thumb and pointer on the arrows. Very cool.
Alright, so hello, my name's Kate Baldwin, and I'm a scientific visual communicator here in Madison, so I do like freelance technical illustrations and scientific figures and that sort of thing. And me and my boyfriend are getting married at the end of August, so the pressure was on to make an awesome wedding invitation. And this winter time was when I joined Sector 67 and discovered the laser cutter over there, and so I made laser cut wedding invitations. So this is what they look like. So this was what I put in the mail. So each guest's address is actually cut out in the invitation. So instead of cutting out the actual letters, I'd seen some fonts online that inspired this, but I actually made this font from scratch, so it would have all the punctuation that you need for addresses, but it actually is cutting out around the letters, because that way you don't have the problem of the middle of the O dropping out, for example. And then I just put the stamp right on there. There was a bit of a, guess and check figuring out what postage to put on these. Hexagon-shaped envelope is not like on the postage standards, but I wound up putting the return address on the stamp itself. So I can pass these around. You can order these photo stamps now. Most people put like their babies or their dogs on there. But I put the actual text of our return address on the stamp because I couldn't figure out a good other place to put it. And I have sent these all out now, and we did have one relative who of course moved without telling us, and we did get the invitation back. So I think it's working, the return address on the stamp itself. Because that was also just had to be done experimentally. What postage you need and whether that would work was different depending on which person behind the desk at the post office that I talked to. But anyway, so this is what the people received in the mail. And in the back are these interlocking flaps that kind of go together like a yin-yang. And there's a basket woven structure here. I can show you on the video in a second. And then this is what's on the inside. And then I wound up having to put arrows on these petals because in the testing with my family, they'd get to this point and be like, so these arrows help so they know to pull the two sides. Then it comes open. You can see the advantage of the laser cutter here, that you can make the paper be like lace. In the back, I've got a J and a K for Jeremy and Kate, because that's our names. It's kind of 2 to 1. And then the actual invitation is inside there. So that was how it. So the envelope has this woven structure, and it's actually made from a single piece of paper that starts off like this. And so I designed it so that these score lines could be cut by the laser with lower power, so that it would just score the paper to make it easier to fold. And I can show a super accelerated video of how this is assembled. One thing I also cut on the laser cutter to help put it together were these acrylic forms, so that when I was doing so I'd have something to fold around to make it easier to fold. And also you'll see once it starts assembling, the final step, so I've got the intermediate steps in here go together with tabs and holes. But the final layer I thought I should glue, so it'd be less likely for other pieces of mail to get caught in there. And putting this piece of plastic in there gave me something to press against when I was waiting for that glue to set. So I can pass that. It's just half assembled, so you can see how it goes. So then that's the final gluing and putting the plastic last in there so I can squeeze it while the glue sets. And that's about that. So this was a long design process with lots of blind alleys and ideas that I thought were cool but then didn't work out so much. So I thought I'd show you kind of my favorite failures. So one of them is this one. Actually, I have a video of that too. It might be easier to see because it'll be much bigger. So in this one, I've got these two pieces of paper that twist relative to each other. And any one piece of paper, you can't read anything, but when you get them, here we are. When you get them twisted relative to each other just right, you can read the text. So I thought that was cool, but everybody I tested it on never figured it out. It's like a really awesome way to cut down your guest list. The other one that I also thought was awesome was the hexaflexidone invitation. So I don't know if you guys have seen these. There's some great videos on YouTube, but it's made of folded paper. You just fold it up, and it's flat, but it actually has three sides. So right now there's like half flowers and half circles. But if you pinch it like this, it opens up in the center, and you can see the third side. So now you can see text, but it's not readable yet. But if you do it again, the text now becomes readable. So I've got a few of those I can pass around. Although, don't be like my mother and cut it apart and re-tape it together so that you can read the text. Those are kind of fun to play with. Yeah, so I have sent them all out now. I had to make 78 of them, and I mailed them off, and they seem to have arrived. I'm getting RSVPs, and the family's talking about them, so that was fun. I've had some of my friends say I should try to sell something similar, but it's about, I measured it, it's about 33 minutes of my time to make one invitation. And about $7 in materials, laser time, and the stamp. So I'd have to sell them for, over $15 a piece to even pay myself minimum wage. So we'll see if I do that. I guess it could be fun to try for, just to give it a try. But yeah. So that's that. Thank you.
So the green piece is an incredible amount of linear inches of laser cuts. How long did that take?
11 minutes, just in laser time. That's not even taking into account putting them in and out. And I had tried stacking them, but no matter what settings I used, first of all, I had to score them one at a time. I don't know if you can see this. No matter what settings I used, when I stacked them, I got that burning. Maybe if it was black paper, it wouldn't matter, but with this green, I decided that was unacceptable, so I did them one at a time.
Let's take one extra to make this much more black.
Yeah, it's true. Yes?
Are the design files parametric? Like, could anyone put their own text in and it would render out to being...
For the text on the front of the envelope?
Yeah, everything is the size and the text parametric.
Yeah, it's just a font, so I just saved it as a regular font. I was kind of hurrying to get these done, of course, so I haven't done anything with it. But I thought it would be a good idea for me to put the font up on my website for people to download. It's a nice font for laser cutting. I didn't find one that cut as nice on a laser as this was, so I made this one.
It would be cool if you redid it in OpenSCAD so you could change the edge design or anything part of it.
For the caps on it, you mean?
Yeah, for all the laser cut parts was what I meant. So
yeah,
you can
I
change the
just
size.
drew it in Illustrator, so it's totally mutable. I've got this one here I played around with, where it's a very similar idea, but triangles instead of those scallops. So yeah, because you could do anything with that laser cutter. Thanks, everybody. I feel like I've got a Easter basket here.
Great, thanks, Joe.
Hope you can send someone else to sign the rest of your wedding.
Great. So my name is Joe Kerman. A lot of you guys know me, but I've been a member of the sector for a long time. And about 4 years ago, some guys came in and they said they're from the library and they got a bunch of money to rebuild the library. And they basically looked around and said, yeah, this thing you guys got here, we want one for the library. And I was like, you know, Chris can bring people down to reality pretty good. So he's like, well, you're not going to you're like, oh, we want a laser, we want maybe a machine shop and woodworking tools. And we're like, maybe not. Let's see what you can do. So part of the new library, if any of you guys haven't been to the new library downtown, is amazing. A big part of it is things that are not books, ways to teach things to the community, provide accessibility to the community. So you'll see classes on, they have everything. There's screen printing classes, there's like scrapbooking classes. Right now there's a class there that has something to do with, it's a creative writing type class. So there's a whole room there called the Bubbler. It's on the first floor right as you walk in and overlooks the children's area. And the whole purpose of this room is for there to be a place to do cool stuff at the library besides the music. So this room has all sorts of different activities going on. They have tools, they have tool chests in there. There's a box of Arduinos there, there's a box of Raspberry Pis, there's a couple soldering irons, and every month or two they hire artists in residence to hang out in there and kind of occupy the room and put whatever stuff they want and try and be a constant presence to have something cool going on there while there's all these classes and programs going on. And I'm that artist in residence for July and August. So the guys there before me worked with recycled paper. There's a couple novelists there right now, so they're doing a creative writing class. So you could go in and write your name on a card, and then they'll incorporate or write a word on a card, and then they're going to write a story that uses all the words. So my goal is to bring some electronics makery stuff in there, stuff that's not paper art specifically. Although I'd really like to get one of those wedding invitations to display there. So kind of the theme that I'm going for is like a little teeny bit of science fair. If I can find a way to convey a cool science demo, I'd like to do that. But I really want to use it as a showcase for cool stuff that people made at Sector or the people involved in Sector have made. So the main reason I'm talking right now is that I want to see, first of all, you got to come check it out. It's empty, literally blank white walls right now. So hopefully by tomorrow it'll be less, and by the end of the week it'll be pretty cool. But if you've got anything you've built or anything that you think would be neat that could maybe be left unattended in a semi-public space, it's not fully public. There's like a guard at the desk at the circulation desk out front. But anything cool, like if you built like a bunch of floppy drives that play music and you want to let me borrow it for a while or show it out to the public, you could let me know. I've already talked to a lot of people around Sector about the cool stuff they've made. So if you have any ideas for me as well, I would really love to hear them. So some of the things I've planned so far are light exposure stuff. Like I'm going to bring a 3D printer I have set up there through another Sector member. You might have seen Todd making 3D printers here for Radiant a whole bunch. So I just kind of want people to walk by and go, hey, what's that thing? A 3D printer, come in, have a 3-minute experience seeing what that is, and then go on with their business at the library. So it's that type of interaction I'm looking for. So I'm hopefully going to get maybe that guy up there, the Predator, just basically terrify all the children in the children's area. But, just because he's a really great example of something you can make from nothing, with very little tools. And things that are made in Madison specifically is another kind of tool. So I've got a stipend budget, which kind of covers like, paper and ink, put a sign next to your thing describing it. I asked them if I could have, they said small budget, and I said pens or pencils, and they're like, pick one. But it ended up being a little tiny bit better than that. In the long term, they've been working with Chris, and I want to help work with them to get a 3D printer in there all the time, which would be great. And I really would like to help them get things like soldering classes maybe, or maybe an intro to Arduino, or at least some demos or books that you can have, and maybe a little place where you can just go, not rent one, but sit there and play with an Arduino for a couple hours and read a book and without having to spend any money. So they're really just looking for cool stuff for the public to do. There's another cool thing that they do that I need your help with too, is that they do classes. Every Saturday during the farmer's market from about 9 till about noon, there's something cool going on in the public. Stop by and check it out. There's a sign on the front. Last week it was a love workshop, art workshop, where you could write a love letter and put it into a box and not send it to somebody, or you could have cards and you could write what love means to you. And then another week they'll have, like I said, somebody doing screen printing or maybe making little stamps, or they'll have a scrapbooking table with a lot of crazy different scissors, or a pile of tissue paper you could glue on paper and then roll it or something. They're looking for people to teach cool classes on Saturdays and on some weeknight, probably Tuesday nights during the week. So if you have an idea for a class, in addition to this, please let me know. I'm going to leave a stack of my business cards on the center table there, which you should also check out because I can't show off a paper good now. Thanks. My awesome business cards were a lot cooler 10 minutes ago, but there's a cool picture of the sector laser cutter on there that I really like. Grab a card and email me if you have any ideas, if you want to teach a class. The class teaching thing is actually a paying gig, and if it's cool, they might want you to teach classes at all the branch libraries, which is kind of nice because there's funding for people like us to teach people cool things. And if your class is good, they'll send you on tour of Madison to all 9 or 10 or 11 branch libraries or whatever there are. So, anybody have any questions? I'm going to talk way too fast.
When did you start?
Yesterday, or today, but the room's not cleaned out, so officially tomorrow.
That's for a month?
2 months. I'll do all of July and all of August. And I wouldn't need anything full time for that.
And are you going to be hanging out there like every day?
Officially, only 10 hours a week, but unofficially, I'll probably be there a lot. I'm going to work with them whenever I can. I do a lot of CAD drawing for consulting work on the side, so I think walking by and seeing somebody working in CAD would be kind of cool. So I'll let people see that, or 3D modeling some stuff. Yeah, any portion of that. If you had something you'd only want to loan for a weekend, or something you only want to stand next to on a Saturday, like. Anybody else? Please stop by and check out the library.
All right, who's next?
So, I'm Josh. Been a member for a little over a year, I think now. And my car has kind of gone hot. So while I'm fixing it, I need a way to get back and forth to work. And I don't want to ride my bike 20 miles at 5 o'clock in the morning. So Chris had this engine sitting in the back. It's a cheap Chinese motor. It costs about $150. And they kind of work. It kind of depends on how much work you're willing to put into it. But basically, I told Chris that I'd kind of show what I've been working on as far as a muffler goes. This is an old, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's an old thermos. I found it at St. Vinny's, and I was like, hey, this has an inner and outer shell, you know, so I cut it all apart, welded it back together, drilled holes on the inside, and filled it with fiberglass. And I've kind of been researching what different car companies have done with their mufflers for the past 30 or 40 years to try to deaden the sound in neighborhoods. And I think the coolest thing I found is Flowmaster. There's not really a way for me to draw on it, is there? Okay, so
Like the first person to ask for a whiteboard 20 years
what are the smart boards? Yeah, the smart board. So Flowmaster does this really cool thing on the inside of their mufflers where they have triangular baffles. So as the exhaust is flowing past them, it creates a negative pressure zone, which basically, in theory, sucks back sound towards it and then cancels it out. So that's my next project. On the inside of this, they're all the Flowmasters that I've seen are the oval mufflers that you have about this big, and all the baffles are flat. So in this, I was going to try to make cones that went through the center. See how well that works. I took this outside earlier. I just finished welding it, and then it started raining. So I got to go around the parking lot once, and that's why I'm soaked. But yeah, this is what I've been working on. Chris, what'd you say?
Would you fire that?
I can't in here.
Okay.
It's the muffler actually works really well. There's this really high-pitched squeal that I got from the Chinese muffler, and when I just rode it around, it's like a really deep, like, instead of like squealy. I wanted it to be less annoying when I was riding.
How much does it weigh? All of it?
The motor and like the extra chain and sprocket and stuff like that probably weighs like an extra 20 pounds or so. And I figured out the other day, all the Chinese parts are really poorly manufactured, so the nuts and bolts shake loose while you're riding. So a lot of them I put Loctite on, but I drove it to the store the other day and a bunch of parts came loose. It's incredibly difficult to pedal long distances without the engine. So I don't know what I was going to do. I think from now on I'll just carry a spark plug wrench with me and pull the spark plug out so it doesn't have any compression. But yeah, any questions? Who wants one? What'd you say?
Lock washers.
Lock washer. They're on everything. It's still. So this part right here, if anybody else does want one, this part right here is called a capacitive discharge ignition, CDI, and this is made for a 4-stroke motor. Apparently China manufactures thousands of 4-stroke motors, but they send it with a 2-stroke motor. So after you get to about, I don't know, 5,000 RPM, the whole thing just starts shaking. So I ordered a different one that's actually made for a 2-stroke motor, and then that's supposed to give you better gas mileage and more power.
So how much have you ridden it so far? How many miles you got?
Maybe 15 or so. Just rode around it.
Do you have any idea the top speed?
So the old sprocket that it came with is a 46 tooth. It's about that big, and I only got to about 12.5 miles per hour. I just had an app on my phone, and that's the point where it starts shaking really bad. So I ordered this cheap sprocket from some guy on eBay. I think he makes them in his basement because it's a really poorly machined. I had to do a lot of filing. It was bad. But now I took it out earlier and I got around 20 miles, 25 miles. But you have to start pedaling now because it doesn't have enough torque with the smaller gear weight.
Is there any concern about your feet getting burned on the muffler?
Everybody keeps saying that. So when you're actually on it, this thing is kind of in the way. So your legs are kind of out like a horse. I don't know if you guys most people are a horse. So. Yeah, your legs are kind of out like a horse, so you're kind of pedaling like this rather than a horse. It's fun. Any other questions?
Do you have to pedal while starting?
You don't have to, no. After you get started, you have to pedal to start it. And with the smaller gear on the back, it stalls out more when you first start it. So until you get it heated or like warmed up, it takes like a minute of pedaling, and then it'll start. I rode up and down the street 3 times earlier, down to that little roundabout. Anybody else?
Do you have any idea how much bargaining for gas mileage?
So everything I've read online talks about different modifications you can do. Right now, it seems like I haven't used any gas. I have no idea right now. I think this is a 1.5 liter tank or something like that. And I haven't tested it at all. If I extend the intake, it's supposed to get more low RPM power using the smaller sprocket so that you don't have to pedal as long before it starts up. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm Scott, we're the Hospice Meal family, and you want to bring that up and set up. We made a rocket stove for camping. We want to show that. theory of rocket stoves. It's designed to be really small, a stove that runs on sticks for fuel, basically. And you can see there's an L-shaped combustion chamber with a shelf that the fuel sits on, and then the air flows up through. So you're always getting a lot of air, a lot of oxygen into the combustion chamber. And then it's actually an insulated, it's a lightweight metal and insulated stove so that the combustion chamber gets hot really quickly. And so it's not only combusting the wood itself, but then it also combusts the gaseous products of the wood combustion. So it's a hotter, cleaner, the theory of it is a hotter, cleaner stove. So these have been, they were designed in the 80s and 90s, sort of rediscovered principles of some ancient cooking technology, and redesigned and used a lot in third world countries where fuel is scarce. I mean, literally we cooked for, we reheated, so we made this maybe 2 weekends ago, and we took it camping, and we reheated food for 10 people on this thing, camping, just putting one thing after another and just shoving sticks into it. And so we're going to talk through the construction process a little bit. So it's a Mike or who wants to talk about this?
First, we got 3 cans of chili and cans of duck. Then we cut the tops off so they were and so then we cut one up into 2 smaller chili cans so they would make it fit L shape in the combustion chamber. So we drew semicircles around on both sides of one can, and then we cut strips into them and folded them back, and then we could put them together. So then we use both sides.
Chili too. We figured out if there could be some kind of methane capture from the chili, it would be really efficient. Couldn't get that quite figured out.
So then we put the smaller, the L shape inside the bigger one in the hole, and then we filled the space around the edge with that insulating material, and yeah,
What it was.
for like practice.
What is the insulating material?
It's a combination of perlite, which is just it's the mineral product you can mix in the soil, lighten the soil. We got a bag of it for like $5, 5 quarts for $5, and then refractory cement, so a high temperature cement.
So then we filled it to the top with the stick it in there. That's me!
Levi took some pictures.
And so then we took the can of the chili, the big one, and we cut holes in it, and we folded it down in, and that's it is. And then we're using it there, feeding for it.
I think that's it for pictures.
And with the,
How do you start the wood burning when you're doing that?
you usually just stick it wood from the top, and then you light a match, stick wood in the side. That part. So then it lights the wood in the top, and then you just stick more sticks to the side.
You can also put a little newspaper in the top too.
Yeah. Yes.
So can you just take really long branches then and just slide them down the table over the
Yeah, you do. You just literally keep feeding the fuel in as you go.
And then it didn't burn the table. It's sitting on the table, didn't burn the table.
We started on the table, and it was cool for a good while, but it eventually didn't get hot enough that we moved it into the camp, the fire pit after that. I think if that insulation was fine, it did the job, and we wanted to have it be a low tech, just steel cans and that's it, basically. Kind of a, I mean, there's 3 rivets in there to hold things together, but mainly it's the cement, factory cement. So you could get higher tech with it for sure, but we wanted it to be really low tech. And it eventually did get hot enough that you wouldn't want to grab onto the outside.
Was it difficult, since you could only use small sticks, like you couldn't buy, you know, like when you go for a campfire, you buy the big pieces of wood. Was it hard to find enough sticks to feed into it to cook your dinner? Like, did you need lots of sticks?
You needed a lot, but
That's what you guys are for, huh?
you need like 5.
5? Well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, if you find larger like sticks, then you don't need as many. So
It's like the picture you had as a bundle, not, ours are just done with twigs, those are not really twigs, those were sticks. Like 5 of them, those 5, how long did that bunch last? You feed it in 2 minutes or 20 minutes? Or?
No, I would guess maybe 5-10 minutes, something like that. We're gonna actually do, if it's not torrentially pouring rain, after the meeting, we're gonna do a demo outside, and we brought some more. It turns out too, once you get this coals in this little thing, it's like the perfect marshmallow roaster. You have the most controlled roast on a marshmallow you can possibly imagine. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna demo it outside, and we'll roast some marshmallows and make s'mores for whoever's interested in doing that.
unless it's still raining and
No, the rain's over.
All right. Question there.
Where did you mount the, how did you mount the pot when you're trying to heat something up?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes you see people make them, the chimney I thought could have been even a little taller, and sometimes people push down in and they make tabs for the pot to sit on. We just used it, when we put it down on the ground to cook, we had a campfire grate that we put over it, and we just push it in to get enough for the pot to sit on, so.
You said oh, yeah.
So we just would stick that in the ground so it was like ½ inch above the top. We could have made some kind of a wired thing, but that worked fine for whatever we're going to be doing with
Any
it.
other questions?
Okay, so yeah, demo afterwards if you're interested.
Thank you. All right, who's next? Oh, you first.
No, we're the
Oh, you're together. Okay. Go ahead then. I don't know what I'm doing. Whoever's next.
Hi, I'm Larry Walker,
I'm Robin Lawson.
and I thought we were going to be doing something unique tonight about telling you about a project that's at its beginning instead of its finish, but you beat me to it, Joe. So this is actually a success story about Sector 67. Some months ago, a person from UW College of Engineering approached Chris looking for some help. They've got a National Science Foundation grant to try to do special programs for high school and middle school kids to convince them that engineering is really cool. They had to go to their local community college and get good preps. They walk to UW and get an engineering degree. And they have a relationship, agreement with the College of the Menominee Nation, which is the community college owned by the tribe up at Menominee, to teach some 7th and 8th graders this summer. And they were kind of floundering what they were going to do. So Chris came over here, asked for some help. He gave him my name. I've been talking to the guy, working with him. We made 2 trips up to Menominee, and we're set now to do a class in August teaching the kids how to program Arduinos. And Rob, one of the soft requirements of the UW grant program and their partners is that all classes should have 50-50 enrollment between boys and girls. And so I sort of thought it would be good if we had something similar for instructors. So I recruited Robin, and we're going to go up there and do this. On the first trip up there, I said to them, you know, what would really work is we could find something to do as a project that had a tie into the community, where the community needed something done or something. Had no idea what to suggest. And as we talked to people, a couple of ideas just jumped up and hit us over the head. So a lot of what we're here tonight to do is to recruit some people to let us pick their brains. Particularly, we're interested in people who have any experience with model rocketry, using Arduinos on board for instrumentation of some kind, and we're interested in low altitude balloon flights. I know Sector's a leading center for high altitude balloon flights, but it turns out that the college has a model rocketry club, and they just came back a few months ago from winning second place nationally at something I'd never heard of called the ISIS, Indian Student Engineering Society. And so they've got a very active program doing this stuff, and they asked for help. They'd like to have some way of monitoring how high does the rocket go at its peak, but they've also apparently had trouble with properly and reliably deploying parachutes when the thing gets back down to the 300-foot level that's recommended. So they're looking for some help with that. But they've been approached by some other people in the tribe. In the Menominee tribe, obviously there's a lot of woods. The whole county is woods. And they have a very large timber mill. So somebody at the timber mill has approached the college and asked if the rocketry club could perhaps start doing tethered balloons with digital cameras hung underneath them to take infrared photos of their timber resource, trying to look for disease infestations or problems. So, as it's evolved, we only have a 4-day class. This is 7th and 8th graders, so it's kind of turning into a little bit more of a spoon-feeding exercise. What we want to do is go up there with a pre-built Arduino instrumentation package for a rocket, and then sort of have them go through and build it. We'll do any soldering that's needed, but they'll do some mechanical assembly and some programming. And we also want to go up there with most of, at least a prototype, of a camera that can hang underneath the tethered balloon and go up to some height, detect the altitude, maybe blink an LED and say, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be, take some photos, and then maybe blink an LED again to say, okay, I'm done, haul me down. We'd like to have that sort of kind of mostly working, and ideally what we'd love to do is recruit somebody who has some experience with these balloons to come up there on the last day and actually do a live demo as part of the parents and faculty come together and all the kids get to show off their stuff. That's probably an extremely ambitious goal, but what we'd like to be able to at least do is show that you can run a balloon up 20, 50 feet in the air and take a picture and pull it back down. So what we're here for tonight is to recruit anyone who's done rocketry stuff or balloon stuff. We're going to be tracking you down through Chris and trying to talk to you. We want to try to, the 3rd week of July, we set aside to pull together the curriculum and do stuff, get it all working, and so we're trying to do our homework between now and then.
Are you trying to get the parachute to deploy via the Arduino? Or?
Well, we don't know yet. You have these little conversations in the hallway when you meet people, and nobody actually has written specs for you or anything. When I did model rocketry a few decades ago, the Estes stuff always had a little reverse charge that popped the parachute out automatically. But on the other hand, it tends to go off pretty high.
Yeah,
and drifts a long ways.
I used to separate it so that you basically dig out that gunpowder and then put a length of fuse, and then put the charge above the length of fuse. So that
are you aware of any off-the-shelf stuff that separates the upcharge from the parachute ejection charge? How the heck would you eject the parachute without gunpowder?
I don't know. I've seen them with little CO2 cylinders in like the bigger rockets, but they're.
I actually have any idea of what scale, what size rockets they're playing with.
Did you have a screen that solid with something that would track and screen?
That's possible. The catch though is weight. I'm really worried about, I can use an Arduino Micro or something like that. They're tiny. But the battery's going to add, even 9-volt batteries are a pretty hefty chunk to put them on a rocket, so I'm really worried about weight.
Also, I wonder about having explosive charges above the forest. What goes
Right, two different projects. The balloon doesn't need any parachutes or ejection. That's only for the rocket.
Can you use a LiPo and a step-up converter in place of the 9 volts?
Maybe. I'm open to
Because
suggestions.
that would reduce the weight a bit.
Yeah. The other catch, of course, is that we don't have much time, so it's got to be really simple, and so like work the first try. Oh, did you want to say anything? No? Okay. So anyway, if you have any interest in rockets or balloons and would like to help the kids up in the Menominee Reservation have a really cool summer program, track me down after the class or track Robin down.
I have another question. What's your budget for this?
I don't know, but it does exist and it's not tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll find out next week. I mean, he's already agreed to buy half a dozen Arduino inventors, SparkFun inventors kits. Those are $100 a piece. So I think there's 1,000 or 2 sitting around, and we've used maybe a quarter of it, but I'm guessing.
Okay. Because I was just saying that's going to tell how big rockets, how big the engines.
Well, the rockets, that's not in our budget. The rockets, whatever rocketry is going on is already happening at Menominee. All we have a budget for is whatever Arduino stuff we need to stick in the top of it. Thank you for your time.
Anyone? Yeah, no.
Hi. Oh, okay. Do you have any file reader on there? Like
What?
to read SolidWorks files? No?
If it's a standard format, SketchUp can load it.
Anyhow, on the theme of kids and family and the such, we're really regressing here, and we're getting down to teddy bears. So I was about thinking about giving my childhood teddy bear away. And little cute guy. I got him for Christmas, I think it was. I was born in December and got him the same month. But it plays Rockabye Baby. Wind blows, bow breaks, cradle falls, down comes baby, cradle and all. Well, that's okay for kids when they don't know any English. It's a nice tune. And when I was a kid, it would be a book on the shelf just like that, and that's why I still have it around. If I played with it, probably wouldn't be very good. But I'm thinking these days, we have Bluetooth speakers. And I thought, well, why not just put a Bluetooth speaker in a teddy bear, and then Mom can play anything she wants. So I looked around for Bluetooth speakers, and well, I didn't find anything very big, but these things are Bluetooth speakers, and they pop in your ear. And I mean, if you thought it was hard to hear those, you really have a hard time hearing this one. But this connects up with a Android or any smartphone. Push the button on the back to activate it, or pair it. And I had to make a case for it. And so I did make a case, and it looks something like this. And to activate it, you simply push on this here, push it against the back, and you turn it on. So that's the way this one was. This is from Build-A-Bear. They don't stuff their bears, but you go there, and they'll give you access to the inside, and then they sew them up after you put whatever you want inside it. So this little module then got put into the nose, and that's where you hook up the power to charge it. But then in order to activate it, I can kind of grab it, push it like that, and then it would connect up to the smartphone and play whatever song you got on it. So I thought we needed something better than this. You kind of mess up the fur between the eyes and kind of that didn't work out very well. So I got on SolidWorks and created a new model. This one involves a little lever on top that you push down. Push down, there's a little cam right there that rocks forward and pushes the back. It needed springs in order to push it back up. And of course it goes together like this. Now, in order to activate it, you simply push down like this. Or, the new version, simply put your thumb here, fingers here, and push down until it beeps. And then you activate it. So, basically it. So, at that point, it's for a little kid who's going to be hugging it like this in order to hear it. Because it's not going to be very loud, but it's loud enough. And if you want the kid to go to sleep, you'll do the job, I think. So, anyhow, that's it. Questions? dollars, and I can find them less expensively, but they may be an earlier version. I don't know.
So, Roving Networks, he got bought out by Microchip, but they make like a Bluetooth audio module that's got a 2-watt built-in amp. You just
Okay.
hook up a 8-ohm speaker to it or whatever you want, and you're good to go. I think they're like, I want to say $10 or so.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something you could
Okay.
consider.
Just put a different speaker. Yeah, they do have stereo. This is supposedly stereo. Although I don't know how they get stereo out of one of them. But they do have stereo receivers that could be stuck someplace in here. In which case you just take your earphones and stick your earphones wherever you want. I mean that's a possibility. They're the same price. But it would be nice to get a little more volume.
Yeah, it's a stereo module.
Yeah. They do, there are bears out there where they've taken the little cylinder speakers and stuck them in the legs, but those are just for, disguising speakers. So not necessarily for a little kid. Yeah.
Have you considered maybe experimenting with ear placement for the module? I know the bears that come from Build-A-Bear, you don't necessarily have easy access into the inside of the ear, but it might be because there's no stuffing. It might present some better options in terms of manipulating and handling the unit. And it also wouldn't be too difficult in terms of opening up an ear seam and inserting and then having it sewn back.
Yeah, they could do that. I'm kind of working on my sewing skills right now. Yeah, you think about the sound of here or
yeah,
the
just
control?
the controller or the sound, either way, without having the stuffing, it's vastly reducing the amount of materials surrounding your units that require you to manipulate.
It may muffle it a little bit. I'm not.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot, but it does sound. So yeah, there's options.
Any other questions? Great, thank you. Anyone else? All right, really quick, I will tell you about a sector project. I'll take less than that. So, Sector 67 is participating in the Hackaday.io Space Challenge. And is that what it's called? Space Prize?
It's a Hackaday Prize, I think.
It's a Hackaday Prize.
For next year.
Right. The prize, though, is a trip to space for $200,000 or something like that. Anyway, the goal of the prize is to create something that is open source, something it has to be open hardware. It has to be a connected device in some way, and it has to be awesome. So what we've decided to do is, we're calling it NSAOA for now, but the idea is to have secure communications between two people. So what we're doing is basically a proof of concept that's in two different parts. One part is what Scott is working on, and describe it.
It's basically a handheld encryption device that's designed to be as human verifiable and air gap from your actual PC as possible. So it uses, it's basically the sort of thought experiment is, what if it was really important for you to send a message as securely as you possibly can? So that's what this device is designed around. It uses a one-time pad encryption algorithm, so it's a pre-shared key. So you can pre-share on an SD card, let's say a gigabyte or 16 gigabytes of key data with someone else, and then you would use that SD card in this device. To send a message, you type the message on the device, and then it'll plug in via a USB adapter and simulate the keystrokes on your actual PC, where you then send the message. For receiving a message, you would get it via email, or you could literally print out that message and mail it to someone. To receive the device, to receive the encrypted message into the encryption device, you use an onboard camera to OCR the encrypted text, and then it will decrypt it again on device. So the only place where the decrypted message lives is on the device itself. It uses a one-time pad algorithm, which is logistically challenging from a key exchange perspective. You have to pre-share a key, and you have to use key data. As much key data as your message is, that's how much key data you're using. But the idea for this device is to very securely exchange short messages. And so the OCR, in combination with the USB sending keystrokes into the encryption device itself, works to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
And
So-
in addition, there's another piece of it that's also very important that Bob's working on. And it's a team of us working on it. Nate and Peter and Chris and Bob and I are all working together on this.
Yeah, so for the proof of concept, we're doing an Android app to do the camera and OCR stuff, and because it would be really hard for us to do that all in one device just to start with. So Scott's working on the Android app that does the decryption, and I'm working on another hardware device which generates random numbers and pumps them out to either two SD cards, one for you and one for the person you're communicating with, or it can make a copy of one card. So if you need 3 people to communicate, you have to make 2 and then copy 1. And then it also has USB so that you can get it to pump those random digits out to the keyboard so that you could decrypt it on a computer. So what we need you guys to do is go to hackaday.io and find this project and give it one of these things. So there are lots of prizes. The trip to space is the grand prize, but there are lots of very nice prizes, including many tools that Sector could use. So the more votes, the better. There is a prize for like the most popular one. So, yes, Joe.
There's a prize for voting. They just announced like they're sick of not getting enough votes, so they're just gonna pick somebody at random, a registered user, and if they voted, they get like, I think it was a $1,200 oscilloscope, like a really nice scope. And they said they're gonna do prizes like that just for having voted for anything at all.
Yeah. So there's stuff in it for you too. Yes.
Do you have to make the cards, give them to the individuals, and then they go to separate places and send messages to each other?
Yes. So the idea is that you need to, it's basically like a pre-shared key, except it's a really long key. So you take those, because we both have the same pre-shared data, now I can send you encrypted messages, encrypted using the shared key and decrypted using your shared key.
Like how many messages would it work to send one? Can you only send one message, or
You can send as many as you have data for. So if you have a 16 gig card, that's 16 gigs worth of text data. And if you, I don't know, I've saved every email I've ever gotten or sent, and we're not even in 2 gigs. So it's a lot. Yes.
I still don't understand how it works with the two-way, but how do you, with three-way, how do all the parties know how much of the key is being used?
So when we have a packet format which says what the start, the offset is, and then you have the encrypted data. So that way you know where in the key to go to start decrypting.
And then in theory, we don't wipe out the key data that's already been used to avoid, if you reuse a one-time pad, it reduces the security significance, so we wipe out that data so it wouldn't be reused.
Is the data on the cards itself encrypted? So if I were to actually get to your card and then pick up the transmission?
That is a good question. At the moment, no, at least not for the proof of concept, just because we build a hardware device that reads, or that generates random numbers and then pumps them to an SD card. So we wanted to make it as open as possible so that it was verifiable by someone. Because if you have to do encryption, then like how do you know that your device isn't compromised?
What's your source of random data?
It's a NP reverse something cascade, I've forgotten. But it's basically using a transistor that's not connected to anything, and it's just floating and generating random data. And they don't generate fast enough, so I'm just going to put 8 in parallel and see if I can get 8 times the fast. Because actually the problem ends up being filling up the 16 gig card is going to take like weeks to do.
For true random data, which is part of the importance of this this device would be to have true random data.
Right.
So the part of the thought experiment is, what do you have to trust to have secure communication? Well, the pseudo randomness is a big thing that you have to trust. Has Intel compromised their hardware, secure hardware random generators? You don't know, probably. The algorithm implementations of the asymmetric or even the symmetric key exchanges, can you trust those? If you turn the paranoia level up to 11, the idea is this device would say one-time pad is an extremely simple implementation. It's an XOR of byte data. We could make a little wheel where you can human verify byte by byte if you want to do that. So you don't have to trust the algorithm implementation at all. And then if we can do hardware key generation, you don't have to trust any set of secure hardware, secure random either. You have to trust Bob, I guess, that he did that.
Well, there are tests that you can do to verify that data is random.
I was with you on every step except the part where you said you're doing this on an Android phone. Is that only a temporary?
That is a proof of concept.
They are very secure themselves.
Right. Yeah, the idea is that this would just be a proof of concept, and having us develop the hardware that includes the camera and does the OCR, and having that be open source enough that you could have anyone verify it, the hardware and the software, would just be too much of a challenge to implement before this contest is over.
On the Android device, even you would disable Wi-Fi, you would disable IR, any other data channels in and out that aren't human verifiable, the speakers, the microphone, all that, you would want any kind of out-of-band stuff, we want to disable in and out.
All right, we're over time. So,
Is this legal?
why wouldn't it be?
Well, you have obvious intent to obey the NSA.
Is that where U.S. citizens?
I don't know. I wasn't really
It would not be
Probably not
under
legal
USC.
in high school.
That's true. Well, I guess, yeah, is it legal to have any kind of a device that can track anybody else's stuff? I guess it's okay to maintain your own.
Well, the algorithm, the one-time pad algorithm has a benefit in that way too, in that the algorithm is not, there's not any kind of byte level security with that algorithm. It's extremely simple. So all this is doing is the same thing you could do with a piece of paper and a pad of random generated digits. So in terms of the technology, it's very simple. It's not high tech from an encryption perspective.
It's passive surveillance, passive surveillance evasion anyway, because you're not actively doing something, like you're not fooling with their servers or actively like changing something in Google by injecting something into their server that's handling your request. So it's just, you're just taking your data and transforming it. So I think that's not illegal, but maybe exporting the technology is.
Even the export is more to do with the algorithms or the hardware capability. Right. And for this, all those again are very straightforward. So, sort of, I've been half wondering, well, maybe we'll get a visit at some point.
When you disappear. Last question.
Does it really need to be random? As long as it's secret. As long as nobody can know about it. Why can't it just be any number of...
It's easier to break the encryption if it
Exactly.
has non-random
It's at
process.
least theoretically possible to reverse the thing and detect certain patterns in the non-random random data.
Right. So in the past,
pretty stretchy, but possible.
In the past, people have said, okay, we're going to use the fourth version of the King James Bible starting at page 12. And you know that, and you both can pick up a copy of that book and start at the same place.
Since the NSA has an infinite number of monkeys, an infinite number of typewriters.
Exactly. But that's like, but me being able to communicate that is basically the key, right? So as soon as someone else knows it's the fourth version of the King James Bible starting at page 12, now your whole thing is broken and it's entirely useless.
But all they have to do is get a hold of your key. Buy water.
But you're erasing the key out of right?
Right, so we're zeroing out used up stuff. So they wouldn't be able to detect, or to decrypt previous messages.
So, we've been looking for feedback. I think we wanted to have some discussion after the meeting of people that were interested and talk through the device and sort of use cases and implementation details and stuff like that. Maybe we should just take it offline for further discussion. But hey, thanks if you've already given us a skull on Hackaday. If not, we would certainly appreciate it. The higher profile we get, the more momentum we'll have.
And it won't be once or block them.
This one's per user, I think.
How many schools do you guys have right now?
We're actually in the top 20 in projects out of about 160, just on the basis of people. I mean, I put something out to this public list, but it's been a project people have been interested in. We're a relatively new project and we've got good velocity, so I really hope that we're getting some traction. They're going to cut it down to 30 to 50 top projects at the end of August, so we want to have enough to be in that. And we need to make a 2-minute video as well, so if you've got any interest in that, come after it and talk with it.
So, are there any more projects of people that want to present? All right, then let's go around the room and introduce yourself and a tiny bit about what you do. So, I'm Bob. I'm a member here. I've been a member for 3 years, and I do consumer electronics contract work.
I'm Laura, and I do projects here at our
I'm Larry, I like to teach kids how to program when I'm not out riding my motorcycle in the business area.
Jeremy, I like to teach.
I'm Adam, I'm a screen printer. I'm Jesse, I make random stuff.
I'm Josh, I was random stuff.
Mika, making a sword.
I'm Charles, I'm an Android developer. What I work with is the learning stuff.
Or Alec and I like pressing on audio.
I'm Dave, I'm a chauffeur, chaperone, organizer. I'm Keenan, I'm just a tinkerer, and as a hobby I have a small 3D printer.
I'm Kate, I already introduced myself.
Jerry, I assist in the automation of the fonts and electronics.
Nathan, programming, electronics.
Tim, I like to build stuff.
Charlie, here to learn.
I'm Eric, I like Arduino and music projects.
I'm Davia, I like to program in Python.
I'm Ed, I like to do blueberries. And permaculture, of course, supporting that.
I'm Patrick, I have a computer science background, and I work at Epic currently. And I like web development.
My name is Brian. I like to build motorized personal devices.
I'm Gary. I'm a tinker from Ames, Iowa. We're trying to get our own hacker space kind of going there.
I'm Liam. I do web development and I do some embedded hardware development too. And I'm building a 3D printer.
I'm Kevin, I'm not a member, and I have a fine arts and philosophy background, but I'm looking to build practical and real skills.
I'm Bob, just going to see what Sector 67 is all about.
I'm Ben. I enjoy writing software and playing around.
I'm Tanya, I do machine knitting that knits digital images with software written by Dottie.
I'm Neil, and I fly airplanes, and I'm a member here.
I'm Liz, I'm a seamstress and crafter, and hope to become a member soon so that I can have access to that fabulous studio space back there with all the machines.
I'm Jeff, I'm a prospective member. My day job is as a grad student at UW in the botany department, but I love to make My Little Pony fan games in Java, so I'm going to try and see if I can get people interested in that.
I'm Frederick, I'm also a prospective member, and I'm hoping to make cool, nerdy miniatures and costumes via like sewing, 3D printing, laser cutting.
I'm Francisco. I just heard about Sector 67 last week, so I stopped by to check it out. I am a grad student. I'm also a biosystem engineer working in manufacturing. I like to build stuff, so looking forward to learn more about the organization and hopefully become a member.
I'm Bernard, I'm a member here, and work on small projects usually involved in printing of some sort and electronics.
am Adolfo. I'm actually from Puerto Rico. I'm here on business, and I just like the movement, the hackerspace movement. I'm getting to see places here in the States to see if we can open one in Puerto Rico.
I'm Melvin, I'm from Puerto Rico too. I work for the pharmaceutical industry.
I'm Hans, just a hobbyist programmer.
I'm Dora, I'm a visitor, and I'm really good at breaking electronics.
I'm Mike, I'm a carpenter builder and enjoy music and reproducing sound.
I'm Joe, I've been a member here for 4 years. I like evangelizing hackerspaces and 3D printers and the laser a lot, this month.
I'm Robin, I'm a member here, and I make electronic jewelry that blinks and is solar powered.
I'm Lucy, I'm a member, and I'm retired, and I do a lot of mentoring, otherwise known as babysitting, and I'm trying to make shoes.
I'm Aaron, I'm a member here. I make the printer costume, movie props, and messes in general.
Bye. And I like to unload, and I like to come here and do stuff.
All right, so that's everybody. Hopefully you've all got people you want to talk to. Seems like we're gonna have a demo here of the floppy music maker.
Now that Joe got the sound system working.
Switch it back.
Was that all it took?
It's already running here.
There's 2 switches.
Just turn up the gain on that channel.
I think the master needs to go off, but I don't know exactly.
I think that should be loud enough for what I heard. They're pretty noisy.
That should be fine.
Here.
Okay.